Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa buddhang dhammang sanghang namassami. Welcome to one and all and the Dhamma program, which we have been running without break every Sunday, 6 to 7, in addition to other programs that we have. So it's an opportunity for people to come to meditate and to learn something that has value, that has wisdom about our lives. I would say it's a very good opportunity for people because every Sunday, without a break, monks will be here teaching meditation, giving discourse on how to lead a happy life, how to get rid of our suffering. And people here, those who attend, are people in the vicinity. They're fortunate that they're able to come, or they are able to participate, able to listen, able to practice together, to see at least the nature of how this mind works, to be able to develop the right kind of refuge within your heart. It's very important that we develop the right refuge. When I say refuge, people think something external. People think something that comes from outside. The refuge comes from within. The true refuge is something that we can carry wherever we go. We can carry it within our heart. That refuge comes from the right kind of practice that we do if we do that. So the refuge is to know what causes our heart, our mind to be unhappy, to be burdened, to feel dissatisfied. To know these things, to get rid of these things, or to go back to the peacefulness of your heart again and again, develop it deeper and deeper. The kind of peacefulness I'm talking about here is the peacefulness that is unaffected by the external conditionalities of the world. We have all the people in this world they have to face these 8 conditions, 8 types of situations, you can say. Honor and dishonor, gain and loss, praise and blame, happiness and suffering. All people, all of us, whether they are educated people or uneducated people, or whether they are wealthy people or not so wealthy people, everybody, city or village, doesn't matter. Wherever they come from, whichever country they belong to, people externally, they look different. Their food habits are different. Their clothing is different. Their languages are different. But internally, the way their heart works, the way happiness and unhappiness arises, the way the dissatisfaction arises, it's all the same. It's all the same. It doesn't matter whether they're Indian people or European people. It doesn't matter. It's the same. So to be able to develop a refuge within our heart is to know what causes our heart to be unhappy and burdened. For example, we have these things which we call the roots of all unwholesome actions: the greed, the hatred, and the delusion or the ignorance, not knowing the true nature of our lives, not knowing ourselves. We think we know a lot of things, but the fact is This body, how it works, we do not know. We call it our body all the time. But then in reality, if it is our body, then we should have absolute control over this. We should have absolute control over this body. So if we say its body should not feel the pain, this body should not feel the pain. But does it happen like this? If you contemplate, you sit down, say you come here, sit down on this cushion. When you sit down, it feels good. After some time, you don't. The body starts paining, That's the nature of the body. If it was your body and you were the owner of this, then you could say, okay, stop paining. Don't pain. But then we don't have enough wisdom to know this, to be aware, to reflect on this. We go by our external whatever impressions we receive from the outside world. We have the eye, and there are things to be seen with the eye. We have the ear, and there are sounds that can be heard with the ear. We have the nose, and things can be smelled, good or bad, whatever the smell is, with the nose. See, we have these 6 senses. We have these 6 senses: eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and the mind. We have the mind also. We use it as a sense to experience the pleasant mental feeling, unpleasant mental feeling. Whatever pleasant mental feeling we have, we go and grasp, oh, I like this one. This thought I like. The unpleasant one, no, this thought I do not. So we go by these external sense impressions. Our mind generally acts like this. So when I was talking about this finding your refuge, then we should train ourselves to put these things down first of all. Sense impressions are just sense impressions. Things you can see with the eye, pleasant or unpleasant, or ear or nose or tongue or body or mind. These are just sense impressions, but you must train your mind to put them down. Let them be. If they're pleasant, let them be. Let them go their way. If they're unpleasant, let them be. Let them go their way. This is the first step to find your refuge. Why? As long as our minds are engaged with these sense impressions, they're busy with it, the mind will never be at ease. It just runs out to this side or to that side. It runs out through these eyes and ears and nose and like this. And it keeps running. Then there is no peacefulness within us because the mind is running. We can sit here whole day long, but then our mind is still running out through these 6 senses. Going outside, going here, going there, going this side, going that side. So the mind is not at ease. If somebody makes you run whole day long, do you feel tired or do you feel energetic and fresh? You don't feel energetic and fresh. You feel tired. So when we are busy with the sense impressions, when you allow our mind to be busy with the sense impressions, then the mind is also tired. So this is the first thing that we should contemplate. Before we find a refuge, we should contemplate this. It's not easy because that's the way that our mind has been working every day, being busy with these sense impressions. And we are so engrossed with them, we don't even feel we are busy. That's how it should be, right? We feel like this. We talk like this. Is it? Is it the only way it has to be? But then we have, it's like somebody in the habit of eating a lot of sweets. Every day, this sweet, that sweet. Yeah? So he thinks, I should be eating a lot of sweets every day. This type of sweet, that type of sweet, I should not be eating too many sweets because it's not good for my health. This thought is rare to come. Similarly, I should give my mind a little rest, not to engage with the six senses relentlessly all day, all night. This thought does not come easily. It doesn't. For most people, it is difficult to come. And even if it comes for a minute or two, and then it runs away, mind again goes out. That's the way it has been busy. No? So we train right here. We train right here. Allow the mind, telling our mind not to be engaged with the six senses mindlessly all the time. Put them down for some time at least. When you make it a habit, when you practice meditation, for example, just now you were meditating on the breath, in breath and the out breath, it's just not being engaged with the six senses. As you heard, if you followed the instructions, we said, if there are mental feelings or bodily feelings, let them be. Let them be. No need to struggle with them, no need to go with them. Let them be, let them go their way. So when we train, we make our training of the mind right here, put them down. Then at least for some time, mind can understand, okay, if I am not busy with these six senses, I can still be at ease and peaceful. Let the mind recognize at least for a moment or two. And then mind will forget again, I'm telling you this. It's not something that you can train it just like that. Once or twice you do that and you become perfect. It's not. But you have to do it again and again to train the mind, to disengage with these six senses, not to be bothered about them. Good or bad, it's none of my business. They just come and go. The pleasant impressions through these senses come and go. The unpleasant impressions through these senses come and go. All of them come and then finally they run away after some time. So, disengaging. When we disengage, mind understands there is peacefulness other than these sense impressions, at least for some time. So this is the first recognition. I can have a refuge inside without these things. This is the recognition that comes within our hearts. But then this recognition runs away. It's equally impermanent. That also runs away after some time. And that's why we must train our heart sufficiently. We must train our mind sufficiently over a period of time so that it can actually value the things which are worthy and it can actually let go the things which are not. Because then it is able to recognize quickly, then it has a lot of mindfulness and wisdom to recognize the true peacefulness and the external excitement. So what is external excitements? Through the sense impressions, it sees, it puts them down. It doesn't engage with them too much for too long. If it recognizes true peacefulness with this disengagement, then it goes back to that. This is how we have to develop our inner refuge. Then we give our mind an object, just like our breath, just as we are practicing. You give them an object, a suitable object, not any object. We can give our mind any object. For example, you like to eat something, you think about it. You can make it the object of your meditation, but that's not the right kind of meditation because your mind is engaged with a lot of greed, craving. I want to eat this. So if that is the case, then the mind is again heavy with the craving. So we give them a suitable object, right mindfulness. That's why Lord Buddha said right mindfulness. Right mindfulness is to be practiced with an object which doesn't give rise to greed or hatred, liking and disliking. It keeps the mind balanced and keeps the mind with the true awareness, like our breath, like the awareness of the body, like the awareness of our feelings, or the mind, or the mental process, such things. When we are aware of them, then we can know a lot of things. So we train the mind by giving it a suitable object. Then mind is trained to go there again and again. Mind can go there. Then mind knows, I can go to this place. This place is peaceful within me. This place where I can go and stay with this particular object, whether it's a breath, whether it's awareness of the body or the feelings, whatever it is. I know this is the better place. I can go and take rest mentally, not physically. So it goes there. That's how our refuge is strengthened. To go to it again and again. We use any suitable object. For example, we say the triple refuge, the supremely enlightened Buddha, his teachings, and the community of all the people who have practiced and become enlightened by following these teachings. So when we say this is the Buddha, this is the Dhamma, this is the Sangha. So this is right here within us. The Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha, it all merges right here. Where does it merge? With the right mindfulness, with the right wisdom, right understanding. This is where it is. So as we train the mind like this, as we allow our mind to go back to this inner refuge of the right meditation object, right mindfulness object, stay there and putting down these 6 sense objects again and again, then it has found a better place. It has found a better place, but then there is a catch again. And that catch is, this peacefulness is good and you can go back to it from time to time, but then your mind still has a lot of wrong understanding. Things that are impermanent, we consider them as permanent. Things that are unsatisfactory, we still consider them as satisfactory. So even if we go back to this peacefulness from time to time, we still get lost in our ways. We still go and chases the things which are ultimately unsatisfactory or impermanent or not stable or without any essence. From time to time we go there, from time to time we chase these things. So then this refuge is not complete. It's partial, it's not a complete refuge. So use this peaceful mind. We develop this peacefulness to a higher level and to use it. Use it to develop something better than just this peacefulness. That is what we call right understanding, wisdom. To know the true nature of our lives. As I was saying, the body is subject to change. When the mosquitoes did not bite you, you have one feeling. When the mosquitoes are biting, you have one kind of feeling. After the mosquito has bitten and gone away, you have one kind of feeling. And then you don't scratch it. You wait for some time, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. You have another kind of feeling. The pain has gone away. But then we are too restless. We have to scratch immediately. We have to be irritated immediately. Because we have no inner peacefulness, no inner refuge. So whatever impressions through these senses come, we are disturbed. This is where the suffering arises. This is the place of suffering, rushing to the liking, rushing to the disliking. Why do we rush? Because we think rushing is the only option we have. We are not aware of any better option because we have not developed the refuge. So, but as I was talking about development of wisdom through this peaceful mind, then we reflect on the nature of this body with deep mindfulness and wisdom, deep awareness, our right samadhi, samma samadhi. Reflect on this nature of this body and mind to see. Reflect on these six senses and their objects. We have these six senses: eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. Invisible thing and sound and smell and taste and touch sensations and the thoughts and feelings in the mind. Through the contact of these external objects and our sense base, the feeling arises. When we see something that is pleasant, agreeable through the eye, we say, oh, this is good. What is not agreeable or pleasant, this isn't good, I don't like it. So the feeling arises, the pleasant and the unpleasant. So we reflect right here to know the nature of those feelings. The nature of those feelings is to come and then run away after some time. As simple as that. Sometimes can be a second, sometimes can be an hour, sometimes, it need not be just a second or a minute. It can be a minute, it can be an hour, or at the most it can last up to your death. That's all. That's all. So this nature of these feelings are like this. So we allow our deeper meditative peacefulness to reflect on the nature of the feelings that arises through this touching contact between the sense and sense objects. Then we know these things aren't reliable. These things aren't dependable much. I can go to these things for some time, then it will change. When it changes, it becomes unsatisfactory again. So the recognition of the true nature of these things, that they aren't really permanent or satisfactory or without any essence, this recognition is our wisdom. This is the real recognition of the true nature of phenomena. Impermanent, unsatisfactory, without essence, without a self. With everything, not just the external things. This body is also like this. As I was telling, if we were the owner of this body, we could say, I would sit like this and my body wouldn't pain. And you could tell our mind, I would sit here for meditation over 3 hours and my mind would just stay with my breath and it would not go to any kinds of thoughts. You could remote control these things, but then you cannot. No one can. It's simple because there is no owner here. It's just a process. The body is a process, mind is a process. Because of wrong knowing, wrong understanding, wrong grasping, we think this is the I. The body is the I. The feelings are the I. Perceptions that we perceive is the I. The awareness is the I. Thought, various mental phenomena that arises, this is the I. But none of them. So when we develop the right wisdom, then we have the right refuge. The refuge is complete. Because then the mind, whatever it sees, whatever it encounters, it sees them as just impermanent, unsatisfactory, without essence. Just a phenomena. It doesn't, this one is a good phenomena. This one is not good. This one is desirable. This one is not desirable, undesirable. It doesn't break its head. It isn't bothered. It knows this, whatever it looks good or doesn't look good or desirable or undesirable, it's the same. It will change. It will still be unsatisfactory. It will change. It is without any essence, not dependable. It has to go away. So that's the refuge. Then wherever you go, that refuge you can carry. You go to people praise you, you see it as just a phenomena, then put it on the side. You go to places, people blame you, you also see just a phenomena and put it on the side. As long as you know your mind has the mindfulness and wisdom and there isn't anything wrong that you have done, the praise and blame, it doesn't matter. Honor and dishonor, it doesn't matter. When people are honored, they are on cloud 9. And then somebody says something, oh, this isn't good, you are not good, you shouldn't have done that, that was inappropriate, and then they fall from cloud 9 again. And I guess it hurts a lot when people fall from a high place. So don't take yourself to any high place. Take these things, see them, put them down. That comes with the understanding, right understanding, wisdom. That's the right refuge. That refuge, you can go anywhere, whether you are sitting in a jungle or sitting at your house, your wisdom wouldn't run away. If you have developed it correctly to the highest level, then it will stay with you. That's the refuge that I was talking about. The true and complete refuge, the right understanding, and the complete letting go. Then wherever you go, you are at ease. You are at ease with the people who are helping you or opposing you. People who are good to you or not good to you. Because you don't take these things as I, none of them are. That's how we develop. So all our refuge, the Buddha, his teachings, all the teachings the Buddha gave is to develop this. And the disciples, the enlightened disciples, they also followed this, practice like this, up to the highest attainment of wisdom, so that they could make their heart secure from all things, unshaken. That's how and it all merges there, right there, with the right wisdom, right understanding. So this much we offer to you today for your practice and contemplation. May you be able to contemplate and practice accordingly, and may you all be able to develop the right refuge within your own hearts. May you all be happy. So we conclude here. Anyone has any questions, you may ask. You have a question? Okay.
My name is G. I wanted to ask, first thing about this, I haven't seen any female monks.
Yeah, we don't have female monks here. Okay.
Any reason why?
Because the male and the female monks are not supposed to stay in the same compound. That's the rule. But they can stay in separately, but we don't have a nunnery for female monks, and hardly any female comes up to us to become ordained. So we haven't opened, because unless there are sufficient number of women coming and requesting for ordination, there's no point running, keeping a building or anything, because we have to keep a separate building, separate infrastructure. If nobody is there, why do we keep it? It requires a lot of investment.
But they can become monks.
They can.
No matter age, gender, they can become monks.
Yeah. Even at a young age also, like 7, 8 years from that age itself. It's the same, similar procedure for men and women.
So as a monk, you divide yourself of all pleasures, right?
Like
Basically,
our practice is not to indulge mindlessly in the sense pleasures. That is one part of our practice. Yes. So if we eat, if somebody gives us food that is tasty, we recognize it as tasty. But then we don't, oh, this was good, then every day I should get like this. We don't try to think like this. That's not. If it is good, people can provide, say people can provide the food that is good, people can provide the dwelling place that is good, certain things allowed. But then if we stay in a dwelling place which is comfortable, if our resting, if our place, for example, our rooms or whatever it is comfortable, if the lay people are giving, to certain extent we can take, not like too much luxurious, but to certain extent, certain things we are allowed to take. But then if tomorrow we have to go to another place, we would not be like, oh, that was the comfortable place. I want the comfort, I will stay here, I would not go there. It's just a place to stay. We use it as it is. And as long as we stay, we stay. When we have to go, we go. That's all. We don't break our head. This is pleasant, therefore I should have it all the time. We don't break our head like this.
one more thing that you divide yourself is sexual pleasure.
Yes, we also,
Not reproduce.
of course, we don't. We don't.
So if everyone to be enlightened in the world, everyone would become monk. Wouldn't that just stop population altogether? And there wouldn't be any monks in the future.
And that's never going to happen. Don't worry. It's a hypothetical thing. It's like saying everybody becoming vegetarians or vegans. And there's such certain things in this samsara never happens. No matter what you think, it never happens. It never happens like that because the samsara is too big for these things. It is unimaginably big. The number of beings in this samsara and their minds, the way it works, how so many variations are there in the minds of the beings at so many levels. It's such a certain things never going to happen. Samsara will always continue, but if it doesn't continue, hypothetically speaking, it's still none of our concern. Because if all people, for example, if all people are free, all people are enlightened, all people are free from all suffering, it's a wonderful thing, no? It's a perfect place then. I mean, there's no need for a samsara then. All are free from suffering, then everybody is good, isn't it? Then there's no unhappiness left. Our mind, we are happy people. Everybody, say, for example, now Hyderabad city. If all the people are fully happy, free from all suffering, isn't it good? We'd be all be happy. Oh, everybody is happy. You see, this is a place full of happy people and good people. It's perfect. Why do we bother? We should be happy about it. But should we think, oh, then what would happen to these big buildings of Hyderabad? Let them be. The big buildings anyways will crumble down today or tomorrow. All the big buildings here or anywhere else, they have to crumble down today or tomorrow. In the past, many kings and emperors came and they made big palaces and monuments and this and that. You go around and see in this country or in another, and they will see those buildings have all crumbled down or crumbling down right now. That's the nature of all things, to change. So we don't need to break our head with this.
So, what is the ultimate goal of Buddhism? Is
to be enlightened.
To be enlightened.
Yes.
If I were to find my inner peace through something else, let's say going to the gym.
Yeah, you can. Only thing is you wouldn't find it for too long. That's the only thing. You can try that. You can try anything connected with this body and mind. And I bet you after some time, you wouldn't find it that much satisfactory. That's the way it is. People, they can try a number of things, but the real satisfactory feeling after some time, satisfactory feeling for some time, and then it vanishes after 1 day, 2 day, 1 year, 2 year. After a certain duration, it will still vanish. It will still feel, oh no, not good enough. That's the nature of the body and the mind. It's nothing wrong with the gym, nothing wrong with this or that. The thing is, everything is impermanent. Our perceptions are also equally impermanent. our perception, this makes me happy, that is also equally impermanent, just like another anything else. So that will also change after a certain time. It has to. Nobody, if that was not the case, then people said, this is the perfect job. This is the perfect relationship. These are the perfect parents. These are the perfect brothers and sisters. It doesn't exist. You know, you have seen, no, parents, when their children are small, no? And then they love their children a lot. And then after growing up, those very same children, they fight sometimes like cats and dogs. Because it's not, it was never supposed to be. Perceptions will change. They're their children only, no, their sons and daughters. Why do they need to fight like this? But they do fight. Sometimes it's so bad that either parents kill their children or children kill their parents. You know, that also happens, no? You know? So the thing is, the perceptions change. That's why it is bad. Otherwise, that's why it's not somebody making it bad. It is inherently bad. Samsara is not something I used to think many years before when I was studying, I was working, I used to think there are certain good things and bad things in the samsara. As I contemplated, as I looked, and as I meditated again and again and became monk and practiced, I understood. It's not that there are certain things in the samsara or in this whole process of existence that are bad. The very nature of it is imperfect. It's the nature of itself. The nature of existence is imperfect. That's why we grow. We come out of our mother's womb. We start growing up. People celebrate our first birthday and the second birthday and third and fourth and 10th and 20th. And there's nothing to celebrate birthdays as such, because if you say if you're 20 or 30 years old, means you are 30 years closer to your death only. You know? So it's nothing to celebrate as such. There are no happy birthdays. Because the more happy birthdays you celebrate, you go closer to the death. Have you ever contemplated like this? One great monk once said, if people were to really cry, then they shouldn't cry when people die. They should cry when they're born. Now this fellow is born, he will still undergo the aging and sickness and death and suffering. It's unavoidable. It's like to be in the samsara and expect it to be free from suffering is to be like we live all within our air, surrounded by air, no? You know? So we live, air is inside the body, outside the body. It's scientifically proven. So air is everywhere. To live on the land with air surrounding inside and outside, and then telling ourselves, air shall not touch us. Is it possible? Or the fish in the water telling itself, the water shall not touch my body. I shall live in the water, but water shall not touch my body. Similarly, it is impossible that living in the samsara and expecting the samsara to be perfect. That's not right. You have to meditate, but if you meditate, you will gradually understand such a thing doesn't exist. It's not possible.
I have one more question that might be borderline offensive. I'm allowed to ask.
Okay, you are.
So Buddha was conceived, right? Let's say before he was born, the day before, his parents were enlightened, both father and mother. Then they decided not to conceive him. Then the religion wouldn't exist.
I mean, before he came to his mother's womb, yes. Before he descended. Yeah, what's the big deal?
That would have been a possibility.
That would have been. Hypothetically, we can think of all things, but hypothetically, all the things, we can n number of things, but the world doesn't run by hypothesis. I mean, if we have to be enlightened, we have to be causes and conditions to be enlightened. You know, for example, you are an enlightened person, or I am an enlightened person. We are not as of now, but if any enlightened person, see, it doesn't just fall from somewhere. No, it doesn't fall from a tree. The enlightenment doesn't fall from a tree or anywhere. The enlightenment doesn't happen by accidents also. There are no accidents. It's a gradual training of the mind, then the mind unfolds itself to the highest level of wisdom. That's enlightenment. So if his parents were developing like this, they wouldn't probably get married or having a family or anything. No? They wouldn't. But then his parents were not. You have to see the causes and conditions were not present. We can think of n number of things, but the Buddha says, and we can, by meditation, we can understand this. World doesn't go by hypothesis, world goes by causes and conditions. Some are apparent on the face of it, and some are underlying or hidden. So our practice is to see all the causes and conditions, the right causes, the wrong causes, how it all comes together, how it supports us, how it obstructs us, Then we are able to transcend these causes at a certain point of time when we are able to understand them. So these causes and conditions for this, what you say, hypothetically okay, but the causes and conditions for this was not present. So it wouldn't happen. It would never happen. Unless, say, if you have to plant a tree, you have to have the right kind of soil. You have to have enough moisture or water in that soil. You have to have some manure or something. If it is a barren land, or if it is not fully devoid of water, arid, then it isn't a good soil for that seed or the plant to come up. So if everything is like this, whether we are enlightened or not, there are causes and conditions behind them. So we have to understand them through our practice, how it works, how we are able to create these conditions, favorable or unfavorable, and how it helps us to progress, how it helps us to reach there.
And how do you tell a person is enlightened or not?
As we said in the beginning, that these three things, what you call the root of all mental defilements, the greed, the hatred, and the wrong understanding. So anybody having a bit of it also wouldn't be an enlightened person. Anybody who is fully free from these things, three things at least, then you can say it's a person is enlightened.
Like human nature to have a bit of greed.
That's why enlightenment doesn't happen to most of the humans, simple. Because they can't, unable to let it go. They delight in this. They have a lot of liking for it. That's why why do you think people aren't enlightened? Simple. You only found the answer. It's not easy. That's why Lord Buddha says, this is the enlightenment, or this attaining to the higher stages of meditation and final realization of the nirvana, what you call. This is what we call in Pāli, Uttari Manusa Dhamma, something which is not attainable by general people. Only extraordinary people with their extraordinary consistent effort are able to attain. But ordinary people wouldn't attain it because their mind is too much busy here. Simple. So it is something that is special. But it is possible to do that. That's all. It is possible, not impossible. Human nature is like this, but human nature can change, no? Human nature is also impermanent, just like anything else.
I read this philosophical thought in a book. It's called Selfish Gene. So we have the selfish gene to protect our offspring.
This all comes from the I-ness. I. This is me, this is my children. But then an enlightened person, he doesn't see this body or mind as me, what to talk of his family or anybody else. There's no concept of me left in his heart, his or her heart. So the concept of me comes from the understanding the body is me, the perceptions are me, the feelings are me, like this. But none of this is me. It's just temporary, impermanent phenomena, what you call. So that selfish gene or whatever you call, it starts with me and then mine. It extends to this. But if there's no concept of me, of the whole process of there is no I that is gone from the mind, completely erased, then these things will not arise. It's like if you have If you collect some wood, dry wood, and put fire into it, it burns. And if it burns, as long as it burns, because the fuel is there, it will burn. When the fuel is exhausted, it will stop burning. So when it stops burning, the fire has ended. Now there's no there's no fire left. No, there's no fire left because the fuel is gone. Fuel is exhausted. Similarly, for the enlightened people, such thoughts are also exhausted. They're destroyed. They no longer exist in the mind. This is me and this is mine. So it's very for normal people to grasp that such a state of mind can actually exist itself is very difficult. I wouldn't really encourage that. Sometimes what people do is they try to think or contemplate how an enlightened person would think. It's very different from the whole way of our mind works. It's very, very different. Certain causes and conditions are present in our mind. So our thoughts will always be guided in a certain direction, in one way or the other. But when these causes and conditions are fully disbanded, then the mind is very different, which is beyond the ability of all other people to perceive. Only an enlightened, that's why Lord Buddha said, only an enlightened person can perceive another enlightened person's mind, how they think. But not an unenlightened person can perceive an enlightened person's mind. If there are two enlightened persons, they will know this. Our minds work like this. They will know. But if one person is enlightened, another is not, then it's impossible. Not just difficult, it's impossible. Because the whole conditioning, whole process, whole mechanism has undergone, whole thing has been broken down. It's very different. So no need to bother ourselves. No need to intellectualize about these things, and it's of no use. In fact, if we think too much, our head will pain. So it's better if we have learned something and then we practice this to experience whether we can go to a little better state or not. It's of no use to think when I'm going to be enlightened or how an enlightened person thinks. No use. We don't encourage. What we encourage is wherever you are, you can make a beginning and go to the next level. That's all. And keep walking. Okay. What is meant by neutral feelings? Okay, neutral feelings, which are not necessarily pleasant or unpleasant. But then we will not be able to understand them. First of all, I'm telling, if our mindfulness is not very good. So we will either think it's a subtle pleasant feeling or a subtle unpleasant feeling. What happens is these feelings, our pleasant feelings or the unpleasant feelings, they don't stay permanent. When an unpleasant feeling comes or a pleasant feeling comes, they stay for some time and then they undergo a process of transformation or change, you can say. Pleasant feelings gradually go down, and then comes to a level when this is neither pleasant or unpleasant. And then it can go to the unpleasant side also. So that subtle point where it stays neither to the side of much pleasant or unpleasant, that's the point. But then for most people to catch that at that level is not easy, because you need to have a very high level of mindfulness and wisdom. But what happens is when these neutral feelings come, then the mind is confused. That's our ignorance. The mind is confused what to do with it. In the pleasant feeling, we say, I want. In the unpleasant feeling, mind says, I don't want. But then in the case of these neutral feelings, which are also subtle, we don't know whether to say want or whether to say don't want. But so we keep our mindfulness there. Initially, we will not understand. But if we are able to maintain our sati and samadhi for a longer time, then we will be able to see they're also impermanent. So if you are experiencing, as of now, if you are experiencing these neutral feelings, then be sure that your mindfulness is very strong. Otherwise, you will only experience for a short time, and you may be more confused because you may end up liking them or disliking them. Both ways, your mindfulness will lapse. So make sure that you understand them correctly. If that is not the case, then maybe for some time take a break, go back to your samadhi, to your meditation practice, make it strengthened so that you can understand it better at a later time. We'll conclude with chanting of metta, loving kindness. Sukhi bhaveyang nidukha ahang nichang ahang viya hitacha me sukhi hanto majjata dachaverino imani gamma kettam hi sattanta sukhi sada tato parancharajyesu chakavale sujantano. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.